My name is Alys Crocker from The Door, and you are watching The 13th Wolfman.
Hey everyone, it's the 13th Wolfman here. We are back again for another sit down. Today I have with me Alys Crocker. She's from The Door. She's got another movie coming out February 3rd on Blu-ray. The ABC's of Death 2. Welcome to Sit Down, Alys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, oh, no problem. I I just watched The Door last night and
Oh,
I love this movie. This movie reminds me of an old Lucio Fulci style film.
yeah, I like the style of the film. It is very simplistic in nature, but I kind of almost appreciate that more. I think a lot of things are overdone today. So having just
Exactly.
sort of, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's nice to kind of go back to the basics, go back to the roots.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than a very simple story. It doesn't have to be overthought and overdrawn and pushed out. For those who don't know what The Door is, here's the basic premise. This guy who wants to spend the night, well, not the night, but he wants to be with his girlfriend on her birthday night, winds up getting a job, the simplest job in the world. He's a security guard. He's there to do nothing more than watch the door. That's it. $500 a night, 12 hours a 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. Nothing harder. It's that simple.
It's
I can't tell
literally
you what got I can't
dumb.
tell everyone what happens because that's the best part, but that is the coolest idea.
I know, and he gets paid very well for it. So even though at the beginning there's some stuff that goes on, he feels uneasy. I can see a lot of people, average people, wanting to make that much money and saying, you know, it feels kind of off, but I'd still do it. I'm sure I would probably.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, $2,500 a week,
Not
you
bad.
know? And the guy never said, you're here's a contract, you're stuck here for the next 20 years. I'm guessing, you make like 10 grand in a month, you're like, okay, I'm good. Now we go find another job, you know?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
I I can now pay my rent, pay my bills, and but you can't get any simpler. I mean, it's no different than when I was a young man and I worked convenience stores at the graveyard shift. What's there to do? You just sit there.
And this can still happen when you're doing the graveyard shift. You never know what's going to walk through those doors. You never know.
Yeah, but it was in my old neighborhood, so I knew all the
Oh,
villains.
that makes it easier then.
Exactly. So how did you get how did you end up getting cast for this?
So there was an audition notice that I was submitted for. I went in for the original audition. Then I got called back for it. So I went in a couple days later. And I remember when I first went in, there was like 35 people there, like way more than a regular audition. So I had kind of accepted that I wasn't going to book it. And then slowly throughout the day, the numbers were whittling down. There was only a couple other people sitting there. And there was one girl sitting right beside me. And I turned over to her and I was like, who are you auditioning for? She said, oh, I'm going for Olivia. I said, oh, that's great because I'm the only other girl here and I'm going up for Jess. So, like, I'm pretty sure we both booked it. And the weird part was when we originally auditioned, Matt and Winnie and Sam Cantor and Liv, who all got cast as the leads in the film, were all sitting right beside each other by accident in this group of 35 people. And we ended up all ending up booking it together. So it was great.
It was a great cast too.
Yeah, we had so much fun. The best cast I've probably ever worked with on set.
Even though Mia seems like a little troublemaker.
She is. She is in real life, too.
Is she?
A little bit. I won't go into details, but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. So now you got the ABCs of Death 2 coming out, and
Yes.
your segment, for those who don't know, is a 26 shorts. Each short represents a letter, and each letter represents a word. And you're the letter U.
Yes. I am. I know it's a lot different than any other sort of filming that I've done. It's completely different idea and the way that they did everything. It's mostly silent. I don't want to give away anything, obviously, because it
Oh
hasn't
no,
come
no,
out.
that's fine. It's
But
different though. It's different though. I mean, you got 26 shorts. I mean, you got to get your point across in like somewhere between 4 and 8 minutes.
that's the thing too, right? It's so condensed and you need so much to happen. And to do that, like ours is almost completely silent. So doing that in such a small amount of time with no dialogue was a lot more intense than I guess I had assumed going into it, but it was a really rewarding experience. Everybody I worked with on set was great, and to see it kind of come together afterwards was the best part. Because when you're doing it, if you're on set for like, I don't know, 12 hours straight, and everybody's just tired by the end of the day, and you think, oh God, I must look exhausted. I must not be doing a very good job. But when you see it afterwards, you feel really proud. It's great.
So you don't have to give away what it's about, but could you tell us a little bit about the cast and the people that made it?
To be honest, when I went into it, I did not know any of the cast, and I forget the director's name. Do you know what it is off the top of your head? It's
No,
been
I don't.
months for.
I
Uh,
haven't watched the movie yet, so.
okay, well he's an Italian director. Apparently, he's really quite famous, known for a lot of horror stuff. He works in LA a lot, and he came over to Canada just to do this one project. I didn't know any of the other cast going into it, and because it is a silent based film, there was only one sort of main character who says anything at the end. It gave a lot of on set time to sort of sit around not talking with other people. So in between takes, you and generally just bond really well with the other people who are sitting there with you, which is really fun. There was one other girl from my agency who I got to hang out with all day. But by the end of the day, when you're working 12 hours together in, basically one building, you're all friends at the end.
And that's got to be bizarre. Not saying anything, and then it's like you're on downtime. Of course, you're gonna bond with these people because the last thing you want to do is just sit there and be quiet.
Well, either that or stare at your phone, and I mean that gets kind of boring after a good half hour. So,
So, what was your first inspirations of getting into acting? Were these childhood inspirations, or
yeah, my dad was a drama teacher growing up, and he
wow?
was a huge horror fan. I think we had over 3,000 VHSs at the time were what we used, and we had them all cataloged. He had which bookshelf they were on, what like shelf on the bookshelf itself. Like he was very particular about where all his movies were. He'd categorize them by directors and main actors, and he would take me to horror movies when I was like 8 years old that were rated R. I'd be like, "Are you sure? Like she's really little," and he's like, "Oh no, she's really tough. Don't worry about it." So I grew up on it. It's always been a part of my life. Film has always been kind of ingrained and into my being, I guess. So I've always loved it, always wanted to be an actor.
That's very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had it was my mother, not my father, but it was my mother that got me into horror. And I've been watching like horror films since I was 5. You
Really?
know, yeah, and even when new horror movies come out, if she sees something she likes, she dragged me to see the first Saw film.
Really? That's amazing. I love women who love horror. It's a lot
Yeah,
more rare than men, but when you hear about it, those ladies are always badass.
it's hilarious, and she's just tiny, gray-haired woman, and come walking out of Saw. It's like,
Just love and life at the same time. It was
yeah.
actually funny. I did a horror convention in Toronto recently to promote The Door, and there was like a lot more females than I expected there to be. The ratio was pretty much even,
It,
and a lot of they were just so into it. It really inspired me and made me think, this is not just a genre for men; it's for everybody.
no, the female ratio really has evened itself out in the last 10 years, and part of the reason I would say is the Soska sisters.
Okay.
It seems like they brought a lot of. I mean, they're both writers, both directors. They bring a lot of females into their movies. It's not the male club.
Yes, anymore, which I think is great, and that's the direction. I mean, every genre should be heading, and it shouldn't be just towards men or just towards women, right? It should be written,
Oh,
directed, and made for
exactly.
everybody.
I'm still looking for the female I could spend my life with that wants to watch horror. They're out there, but you just got to find them.
It's true. Go to horror conventions. That's
Yeah.
where you end up finding a lot of them. I've seemed to find.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I had a teacher in high school that was a drama teacher,
Hmm.
and he was one of the coolest people that I knew. You know, so it's nice that you have that connection with your dad about acting. What was your mom like?
My mom and dad were both high school teachers. My mom taught art, so she was also very
Oh
artistic. And
wow,
yeah, so I grew up in sort of like a very artistic hippie-ish family. A lot of that going on.
very hippie culture.
Yes, very much so, which was fantastic. I mean, I really liked it. I'm sure it wouldn't have suited everybody, but it definitely influenced who I became and the sort of path that I wanted to take with my life.
So is it just you, or do you have siblings that
No,
follow?
yeah, I have two older brothers as well. One of them is a chef, and then one of them works as an executive producer at the CBC. So he took more of like the 9-to-5 upstanding citizen job out of the three of us, I guess. And I guess I'm the black sheep, decided to be an actor, which is not super stable or what your parents want you to end up doing. But once they see that you can actually do it and you're getting hired for these jobs, they're always like so proud of you and so excited. It's just sort of the beginning when you're starting out and you haven't done anything that your parents always want you to be stable. So it's kind of scary for them.
You know, the funny thing is when you think about what your parents are like, you know, an art teacher and a theater arts teacher, your brothers are the black sheep. They're the business people of the group.
Thank you. No one has ever said that. That makes me feel great. That's true. He did go down a different path.
You know, I mean, and the chef also. I mean, that's outside the box.
Well, I always think, I don't know, I'm a big fan of cooking. I really love to cook at home. And it is kind of, it's very, you work with your hands. It's sort of like an art form. You create something out of all of these tiny pieces that you have to cook or bring together in whatever way that you're doing it and present it beautifully. So I can kind of see that being more of an art form. But being an executive producer, yeah, that kind of would be the black sheep, I guess, when you say it like that.
I would say it. I did. What the heck? So do you have any aspirations to writing and directing yourself?
I do, yeah. I actually went to university because I wanted to get a stable fallback just in case. I went to school for journalism. I've always really liked writing. And I've sort of started working on a script, actually. Me and Patrick McBrearty, who is the director of The Door, have been tossing around ideas, and I've started writing it out. So I'm kind of a quarter way probably into that at this point. It's like I really enjoy it. I get overwhelmed by having other projects going on where I'm currently filming a movie, and then I have a commercial later this week, and I have auditions all the time. So it's hard to just focus all of my energy on that. But I'm going to keep working on it. And when it's done, I would love to see it come to life.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. I love talking to the newer actors and actresses of today, that it's like, I get to see the future Jamie Lee Curtis's and Heather Langenkamp's, and you know,
it's such a great community too, because once you get involved with it, you meet all these other people who are just as inspiring and as inspired as you are. And when you meet with them, they all have these things going on, and it makes you just want to go home and work even harder. So it's been pretty cool getting to meet all these people who knows who they could be tomorrow, right?
Yeah, especially, I mean, with movies like The Door, you and the cast of The Door, man. They're all those actors and actresses in that movie are going to have very big careers.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We worked hard on it, so I hope so. I hope everybody likes it.
I think they will. I don't see any reason they wouldn't. It's a very, very cool, suspenseful movie.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like. Not to say that I don't like slasher horror or, Saw and stuff like that, but I've always been more partial to the thriller, psychological kind of thing.
Yeah.
You get to use your own imagination too, instead of just seeing what's right in front of you. So I think that's really interesting, and I'd like to keep working on stuff like that.
Well, I will admit that part of the reason I wanted to see The Door was the cover art.
Good. I didn't know.
I thought this was the coolest looking cover art.
It's pretty badass. It was fun to shoot.
So that's you.
Oh, that's 100% me. Oh, yeah. That was me, and I was really doused from head to toe with only my eyeballs showing and, fake blood that day. So it was a very sticky day.
Sticky.
It's pretty great, though.
No, it's a very cool looking, like I said, cover art, but after a while you're going, I mean, I'm watching the movie, and I'm waiting for
that to happen? That's
not exactly that scene, but I'm waiting for something that's reminiscent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I love the movie. They got me with the cover art, but that's fine. I'm good with it.
We did the first photo shoot for the cover art was actually going to be the one that's posted on the Reddit site right now, which is me just against the wall. So that was the original, which is also a really great picture. And then Patrick said that it wasn't quite what he was looking for, and he just wanted to, have another go around with a photographer and see if we could get something a little more creative, a little more bloody. And so we tried it the second time, and everybody fell in love with the second picture. So we still use the first one, but the first one's for promoting, the second one's for the cover and the poster and everything like that. But yeah, he said the one thing was that people might be, it's like, that doesn't really happen. Like, there's no real scene of you getting anything scratched into your back, but I could have added that in had I known that ahead of time. He's like, it would have been a great scene, but we didn't think of it till too late.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm fine with that. I mean, if you look at some of your dad's cover art for his VHS horror films,
Yes.
you know that there's cover art and you're going, okay, looks cool and all, but that never happens. You know?
Yes, that's true. It's not always, I think it's cover art is like, I don't know, when you're choosing a book, you always pick whatever picture appeals to you. And it might not have anything to do with a specific scene in the novel or the film that you're watching, but it's something that the kind of idea that it portrays that draws you in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happened here. But like I said, yeah, so I watched the movie, I enjoyed the movie, and so I don't care, whether or not that happened, in the movie.
And the cover art did its job. I mean, I got you to pick up the movie in the first place, so.
Actually, I won it.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah,
Where
Patrick.
Did you do that?
Patrick was holding a contest where he was giving away all 7 Black Fawn distribution films.
Black Fawn distribution films, yeah.
To promote to promote The Door, and I wound up winning that. So
that's amazing. That's a really good pack. Those guys at Black Fawn do some really great work.
And so it was from that I actually asked Patrick if he wanted to come on here. And then I said, Patrick goes, well, would you want Alys to come on? And yes. So,
and now we're all friends.
Yeah,
that's great.
We're all friends.
See, I like how this sort of community, this is how it works, right? You meet one person, they introduce you to someone else, and then it grows and grows. And it's made me also realize how small the sort of industry is, where there's always 6 degrees of separation, which can be really beneficial if you're, starting out and you're trying to meet people who are in the industry and can give you some advice and who have been through it all. So that's been really great meeting Patrick, and then Brigitte Kingsley, who's the producer on the film, who did Dark Rising and Medium Raw, meeting her, and Andrew Simic. So it's all kind of worked out, and I've met some really interesting, really amazing mentors, I would say.
Networking, man, that's what it's all about.
It is. It's true. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. So
you said you're working on something new. What do you got in the... Can you talk about it without giving anything away and getting yourself in trouble?
I can say a little bit. The current working title is called Distance, but they're probably going to be changing that. I only have a smaller role in this one, but it's not horror. It's, I would say, a love story, but a little more, something's off about the love story.
Oh, cool.
That's all I can really say.
No, that's fine. So you're working on that, and any idea how long from where you're at to when it's finished?
Well, I think they're going to be finished filming it in middle of February. So I think it should come out probably by the summertime, I would assume.
Yeah, I was going to say about 4 months worth of post-production.
That's about normal, right? But I'll definitely be posting about it on Twitter and my Facebook page, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So if you do want to stay tuned, then just check out any of those.
Oh, yeah. So did you have to do much ADR in The Door?
No, not really, to be honest. It was all kind of like guerrilla style, just like sit there and get it all done as quick as you can in one shot, hopefully, and which was a bit stressful, but I think it all turned out okay.
Well, as big as that place looks, it looked like it. Well, at least it looks big. I don't know if it is, but it looks like it'd be big. Looks like the echo would be kind of menacing to work with, and you're like, okay, I got to bring him into ADR that because you got the same thing echoing,
We actually did it all on set, so we didn't do anything in a studio or anything. Yeah, so Heather Walker is the woman who was doing all the recording, all the sound, everything like that. She's absolutely amazing at her job. So you can thank her for that, not us.
Hey, she just got her name mentioned, so she's happy.
It's working out.
Yeah. So Alys, let's take a look at the trailer.
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is the trailer for The Door. I hope you're excited too. Now get ready to watch.
I don't get it. What am I here to do exactly?
It's an easy job. You put on that uniform, you sit in that chair, and you watch that door.
You open this door as soon as you hear us knock 3 times. But
Here's the important thing. If those two guys are in there for more than 1 minute, you cannot open that door again ever. Got it?
What's behind the door?
You do not open that door, no matter what you hear.
Please tell me something. Abby, it's too late, buddy. We're here.
So what's behind it?
I don't know.
Don't you have a key, security man? Olivia. Any idea what this place was used for before it was shut down?
There's somebody out there.
Where?
Trying not to move. Trying to hide, but he's out there.
Ever since I got here, hearing things. Seeing things.
Like what?
You're talking. Voices.
That's very cool. Yeah, I can't say enough about this movie. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to promote?
Not at the moment. Just horror in general. Keep watching it.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? And especially, I think the kind of horror, like in this one, I got to be the more badass girl rather than the girl who needs saving all the time. So those kind of movies, people watch them. They're great. It's realistic. This is what women are really like. So if you could just promote that and have people come and watch those kind of movies, that makes me happy.
Well, yeah, there's a I don't want to say theory, but there's a rule out there in the horror world that the brunettes are the ones that seem to die in the movies, and it's the blondes that wind up staying until the end.
Yeah, it's true.
Know?
So this one,
always,
not always. And as a brunette myself, I hope the brunettes will start lasting longer.
Well, I mean, I could think of a few that rule doesn't apply to, but and you too, but for the most.
But for the rule, yeah.
I never saw that way, though. I always thought the brunette was the stronger one of the movies, when you think about it.
Well, you would think, yeah, stereotypically brunettes are often cast as more, I don't know, I guess not aggressive, but aggressive would kind of be the word, or a little more powerful. They also get cast as villains a lot, which I'm kind of okay with. But
to all those casting directors.
Just saying. No, but like in the past, I've gotten, so the first film I did was, I can't even remember the name now, but I get to be a female assassin. So like that was kind of a badass role. In The Door, I kind of am like the bitchy, but like more powerful. I don't take shit from no one kind of girl, which is really great. I was cast in Berkshire. What?
You didn't come off as bitchy to me.
Thank you. A lot of people said I was, and I was like, well, I was just not supposed.
I didn't see it as bitchy. I mean, there was the blonde who was kind of whiny,
Yes. Well, that's like the two extremes, right? People think if you're not going to be the nice little girl who sits there and just wants to hang out with her boyfriend, then you're the bitch, obviously. So it's nice to hear.
The one that I thought was kind of bitchy was Mia's girlfriend.
The redhead, Liv.
Yeah.
Olivia? Yes, yeah. Yes. Oh, you thought she was bitchy. That's funny. I'm always the one who gets called bitchy, so thank you. First time ever. Yeah, so I think in that situation, though, I can imagine just being with whoever you're with, a significant other who's really drunk and is just like screwing up things, that I would probably pull on my bitch hat a little bit and be like, I've had enough. You need to just take it down.
Yeah, but after a while, when you're, I don't know. I mean, when things start happening, you start freaking out. Do you want to keep the hat on, or you just want to get the heck out of Dodge?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, that's true, actually. I know, I don't think I ever really even saw it that way. I think because all of the responses we've got have said, like, I really like Jess, but she's kind of like bitchy and she just like pushes them out of the way and stuff, which is always funny when you hear it about yourself. It's not really about me, it's my character. Yeah. I didn't see her like that either, to be honest. I never thought of her as a bitch or anything. I just thought she knew what she wanted. She wasn't going to wait around and let people die. She had her morals. She stuck to them. And I really liked her because of that. I think that's one of the reasons I liked her, was because she was tougher and didn't give a shit.
And I love the ending.
Me too. Me too. Although I've had some people be like, I don't know, am I allowed to give it away? Am I supposed to not say anything?
Let the people, go find out for themselves.
Okay.
I mean, you can give it away, but I just, it's such a cool ending that I think
it is. I think there was a lot of people who thought it was going to go a certain way near towards the end, and it maybe didn't go the way that they had planned out in their minds, so they were upset about that. But you can't please everybody.
I actually thought that you and
Owen?
Owen. Yeah. I couldn't think of his name. I thought we were looking at a little hookup there.
I also did as well when I was reading the script, and then it never, which I think that probably would have painted my character in a different light had I ended up hooking up with him and he had the girlfriend and blah, blah, blah. But I love that you just love, like, no, Jess is fine, just let her go.
Jess is fine, yeah.
Thank you. I love that. Yeah, so I think people have already like a preconceived notion of what's supposed to happen at the end, and maybe that didn't match up with it. So some people were disappointed, but other people totally embraced it and loved the ending. So I'm glad that you liked it. I really loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. And I was like, oh wow, I just saw, and I had thought of two movies, and I mashed them up, and I was like, okay, I just saw this movie and this movie, two of my favorite movies, and so I was good with it.
Right, that's what I like to hear. I mean, you can never make.
Go ahead. No.
Sorry. Like I said, you can never please anybody. You just kind of have to pick something that you're proud of and then go.
No, it's. I mean, I've been watching horror for over 40 years. So I mean, there's those actresses where they're like, okay, she makes this movie, then all of a sudden she makes a dog, and you're like, oh well, she'll do better on the next one. It happens.
It does happen, and it's hard to. I don't know if a lot of people think of it this way, but acting, it's not stable at all. You don't know when you're going to get your next job, so sometimes just money wise, you need to take something that might not be the best thing you've ever seen in your life, but you know what, you could maybe do something with it. Either your character isn't exactly what you were hoping for, or the plot line you think could be a little bit better. But I think there's a way to take something like that, and if you can sort of make the character a little bit stronger than maybe it's written, or, direct the plot a little bit more than you were hired to do, I guess, that you could make it even better. But sometimes you are stuck in a position where you just need to work, unfortunately.
Yeah. I got one more question for you. And what's the hardest thing that you've had to do in acting?
Oh, God. Well, it depends. You mean like physically hardest, or just like anyone?
It's your interpretation, whatever you want to throw out there.
Okay. Well, I'll give you two answers. Physically hardest was probably the fight scene in the door, where I got thrown around a lot. Actually, and it's totally not Len's fault. Len was the guy in the scene with me who grabbed me and everything. We had practiced it a bunch. And he's actually a stage fighter, so he knew what he was doing. I was in good hands. But I got thrown around a bit for the next day. I had like a huge bruise across my ribs from just doing that scene over and over again. So that one, and I had to film the next day, so it was like another 12 hours on set where I like couldn't really move that well or anything. So that was the most physically taxing. But then overall, just in acting in general, I think probably just not always maintaining like a positive mindset and never really giving up on yourself. Sometimes you can go like, I don't know, a month or two without booking anything, and you kind of get down on yourself and maybe this isn't for me. Like maybe I should just get like a 9-to-5, a real job like everybody else says I should. But I think if you believe in yourself and you enjoy doing it, the most important part is if you really love what you're doing and you can go to work and be excited, then that's the job for you.
Well, when those moments happen and that those thoughts come across your mind, just remember, you got to do the door.
I did.
Yeah. So, there will be another door.
There will. And yeah, I don't know. I think I've done about 5 or 6 movies now. That was just my first leading role. So hopefully the leading roles will continue coming in and I can just keep getting better and working on better projects. And I mean, it's not going to get better than The Door, obviously, but that kind of caliber, just maintaining that would be amazing.
I want to thank you for coming on. I've had a blast talking to you.
I had a really, really good time. Thanks for having me. We should hang out more often.
Yeah, no, come back anytime you want.
I may. Don't tempt me. You shouldn't say stuff like that. I'll come back too often.
I'm all for it. I mean, you want to come on, just talk about whatever. I'm good with it.
That sounds great. I'd love to. Thanks for having me, actually. I really appreciate it. I had a really good time.
Thank you. And for that, I'm the 13th Wolfman. That is Alys Crocker, and I'm on the prowl.